Up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast, and I want to bring up an idea. And this is something I've been thinking about because it seems to me that as this global pandemic continues, it seems like the state is starting to become more and more involved. And if you look at these universities, a lot of them, a long time coming now, I believe as of last year, we're starting to receive grants from the state for a variety of reasons. For either using the university's property as medicine centers, if you know what I mean, using their facilities for, stated purposes. And at that point, regardless of how much the state gave them, 100,000, 200,000, half a million, whatever the amount was, now they're in service of the state because the state is now providing them funding. Now you start seeing the connection here. When someone starts funding you, who has the say at the end of the day? Oh, the person that borrowed the money, right? Or that the money was given to, they have the say at the end of the day, right? No. He who pays the piper plays or chooses the tune. And this is what is happening. And the term that I'm going to use is this. I believe we're heading into an entrepreneurial state. So, how should I say this? It's where the state now becomes the business or in charge of the business. And now you no longer have these private entities. They may be the private sector from that facade they have, but behind it, the funding is coming from the government. And when I look at something like this, Biden announces new measures to help ease the supply chain crisis. I'm thinking, okay, so here was a problem, and now here comes the government with the solution. Now, are they going to fund this new solution, which is now going to give last say to the state? In other words, to the government? Here it says, according to the AP, the two Californian ports of LA and Long Beach account for 40% of all shipping containers entering the U.S. The Biden admin has responded with a deal for a 24-hour, 7 days a week operation at the port of LA and a call upon private sectors to help the country mitigate a supply chain crisis. Now, I remember reading an article and I asked the question, why are they not doing, or even the article brought up the fact that they weren't running 24 hours, 7 days a week, and they asked why. Well, here's your answer. Because the solution was going to be brought upon by the government. And they're going to fund it. And when they start doing something like this, now we become dependent on the state. And I do believe that the crippling of our country is happening so that the state can gain more and more power. And once that happens, you become a slave to the state. And I've been saying this, there's no free lunch. And so when you look at something like this, you have got to have some kind of concern. Just because you see stuff that's happening in other countries, like Australia, perfect example, you're like, that's happening to them. At least it's not happening to us. It's not happening to us. It's folks. the fact that all this is global, it's bound to come. And time will tell. Time will tell. But what I'm starting to see is funding by the government in all facets of society. And that concerns me. That concerns me because what comes next is an entrepreneurial state. And that's the last thing you want. Because now everyone's basically paupers of the government. And that is something that throughout history, if you look at, these communist, socialist, fascist regimes and how they ran things, I'm sure no one would want to see that repeat. I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. As always, I like hearing from you. This is a digital podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.